there's so many toxins today, and you said it, like Candida and parasites in particular, they can act like sponges and soak up those toxins. Mercury, heavy metals, mold, biotoxins, Lyme bacteria. So you could have all these things inside your body, which is just wild. So if you have, mold issues, Lyme, all these other things, you may have to clean out the gut first before you can even get to those things, which is just, it's mind-blowing when you think of it. So viruses can live inside parasites, bacteria, mold, all these things.
It's like a piñata. Oh, parasites are like piñatas.
Wild, they are. It's nuts.
You're listening to Cleanse, Heal, Ignite podcast, and I'm your hostess, Diane Kaiser, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, former pro soccer player, transformational leader, holistic healer, and life purpose coach, helping you and your business awaken to your full potential. We are a transformation tribe of visionaries empowering passion-quenching, heart-centered advice to wellness warrior leaders on self-love, nutrition, mindset, and divorcing perfectionism. Our mission is to help you laugh your way to a sexy belly, love your way to vitality, and live your life with purpose by sharing real talk and truth drops that will help you cleanse your body, heal your hormones, and ignite your life. Side effects of this podcast may include all-day energy, happy hormones, perfect poops, increased confidence, becoming your own best healer, and catching the self-love virus. There's currently no vaccination to protect you from this and no known cure. In most cases, listeners experience a strong desire to accept new challenges, ditch toxic people, follow their heart, and dance like no one's watching. If you experience moods happier than usual, live it unapologetically and share with your social media friends immediately.
Hey warriors, welcome back to episode 2 of the series that we are going into your gut. We're going to take a little tour down into your microbiome and the other biomes that you have in your body, which actually make up 90%, 95% of you. There's a lot of bugs inside of you that are actually good bugs. So do not fear. We're going to talk more about how you can leverage your gut health to improve your beauty, your energy, and your immunity. So let's start with the last episode. Dr. Seth and I talked a lot about the biggest myths and misconceptions about your gut, about digestion, and about overall wellness. And we also talked about a few takeaways at the end. Today we're going to talk a little more about the mastery side of things and also go deeper into some of the other myths that we didn't have time for the first show. So Dr. Seth, let's take it away. Let's just go straight into it because they know your story. They know my story. They know that they know that their doctor is not the source for this type of testing, and what exactly is functional medicine testing and why we love it. So where do we leave off? We talked about last episode. If you guys have not listened to it, listening to the whole myth of just getting a colonoscopy and checking off, okay, my health is fine. My gut health is good. My doctor told me everything was clear. Seeing a GI specialist, maybe doing a stool test if you're lucky, and running some blood labs and saying that everything looks fine. Or maybe you having symptoms and them giving you an antibiotic, and the danger in all of that for you and your children. And so today we want to get deeper into also the alternative side. So many of you guys have been doing things and you're what I would consider more advanced. You maybe have done a Candida cleanse. Maybe you have done a parasite flush. Maybe you have done a liver gallbladder cleanse. Maybe you're drinking celery juice every day or tried the celery juice cleanse. Maybe you tried fasting. Maybe you tried bone broth. Maybe you have done a SIBO test and then determined you had SIBO and did a big SIBO cleanse. So there's many different things that you have tried before you get on a call with me usually. And Dr. Seth and I are here to help today. So let's dive into the myth of, well, I did a Candida cleanse, and that is going to clear up the problem of all of the Candida symptoms. So let's talk about that one. What are the symptoms that someone might have if they have a Candida overgrowth, which is a fungal overgrowth in their body?
Sure. Candida can be pervasive. It can cause all kinds of issues. Candida can show up not just in your gut. You can have, bowel irregularities. You could have itchy backside. You could have, undigested food in your stool. You could also have like oral thrush, like the white coating on your tongue. I don't know if you've seen that. You can also have, like, women could have bladder infections a lot. We see also another one I see is a lot is like brain symptoms, neuro symptoms like mood swings, irritability, fogginess. Anytime I say that, I classically think Candida, just from the toxins that Candida gives off, travels to the brain and is just like toxic for brain. So it's really hard for the brain to function. When there's Candida around, there's Candida present. I mean, there can be fungal infections in your sinuses, in your gut, in your urethra, in your bladder, in your vagina, all over the place. But Candida, lowers your immune system too, so you can get more and more and more infections. Those are just like kind of tip of the iceberg of Candida symptoms, because it can do a whole lot. But women on birth control, they're a lot more susceptible to Candida. Birth control does a lot to your gut. It slows down your gallbladder, so you're not digesting your food as well. But the bile from your gallbladder, that's what cleanses your bowels. It cleanses everything out. Birth control can also cause intestinal permeability or leaky gut. It opens up it. So many women are on birth control right now, but they're wrecking their guts in the process. It's not good.
Would you say too, Dr. Seth, because I am definitely one of those women that from the age of 15, I had cystic acne. I did birth control. I did the pills back then. And then I determined that they were making me crazy, and I gained a ton of weight and my period got worse. And then I was on Accutane because the birth control didn't work with Accutane. And Accutane could actually cause a lot of fungal overgrowth as well and leaky gut. And then I got autoimmune disease. So it's like this whole it was my body trying to speak to me, but I didn't know how to listen. So I went to the doctors and they told me how to shut it up. Not compassionate at all. So I ended up doing a Depo-Provera, which is a shot, an injection of progesterone. I did that for 8 years, didn't have a period. Don't think that's a very good thing for women. And then ended up on the Mirena IUD. That hurt like hell to be installed. I had it taken out within 2 weeks because I thought I was literally going to die. Then I got the copper IUD injected. And the whole time, I have gone through 8 years of Candida overgrowth. My Candida never, I don't like to own it, so I'm not going to say it like that. The Candida in my body never went away, and I had it for 8 years. In fact, I still have yet to do my final stool test after my breast implants were removed, because I did all the Candida flushes, I did all the things, and my Candida never went away. Even it came up on the stool test that you and I run in the Chi Tribe. It came up high, and when it's high on that test, it's high systemically. So is it any form of birth control that could cause Candida, even the IUDs?
I don't think the IUDs do it as much because it's not really the oral route. I think it's more localized when you're getting the IUDs, the localized bacteria. But I think the oral ones really, oh, hey, cheers.
Oh, okay. Hey,
this
Dave
segment,
Asprey.
This segment brought to you.
Wait, let me see. Which one's yours? The vanilla flavor?
I like the dark chocolate too.
I rotate between the two of them, and I always have the collagen one because collagen is good for a healthy gut. But coffee might not be, because it actually could destroy your gut lining. So it offsets each other, right?
Oh yeah.
You can't.
So if you guys are watching the video, Diane was just taking a drink of her bulletproof coffee, and I just pulled mine up too.
That was awesome. I'm gonna have to send Dave Dasbury a picture and tell him he needs to sponsor the show. Yes. He was on my last podcast. But anyway, we were talking about birth control, coffee, all the things. This is the title of this one's going to be birth control, coffee, and poop.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, all you need to know. Okay, bye. No, we were talking about, here's my experience though. And I think that really it could differ for each woman, each person. And here's what I was going to say about the IUD, right? Copper IUDs could cause copper toxicity in the body, which is something that I had when I first was going through FDN training about 7 or 8 years ago. And that's when I had my copper IUD in. So copper at a high level could actually increase estrogen, which increases Candida. Those three tend to be best friends, not always. But it could be an indirect relationship to fungal overgrowth. I did see that the Candida did decrease after I took my copper IUD out, and symptoms did improve. But then again, I still have my breast implants, and then I did Botox. So you just never know, right? It's hard to pinpoint, and everybody's different. So there's a lot of people who glamorize the copper IUD as being the best form of birth control, but I actually had a lot of negative experiences with it. So it really depends on your genetics and many other factors as well. So I did want to throw that in because it can depend. If you are going to do birth control, it might be the best, but I still have seen that women do a lot better without any kind of that crap in their body.
That's interesting. Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay. So the doing the Candida cleanse, when someone says, I've done a Candida cleanse, what could be the trap there in assuming that, okay, I can check that one off, I'm done, and the Candida will go away when I do a Candida cleanse?
Yeah, so I think, and I'm thinking of this as you do this. So there's a lot of factors when you're reorganizing bacteria in the gut, taking out bad guys and good guys. So one, I think you need to look at, is your immune system ready to take on a war? Like when you tested yours, your secretory IgA was like 44 or something, right? That's crazy low.
4% of optimally functioning. There's
Yeah, so
96% gone.
that'd be like, all right, guys, this is okay. Revolutionary War, 1770s, and we're gonna go fight England, but we're taking like 20 guys. Like,
yeah,
that doesn't make sense, So you have to make sure your immune system's ready to handle that. Number one. Two, you have to make sure whatever you're killing, you're getting rid of. A lot of times we kill things, but they're not exactly leaving the body. They get recycled, and you're just retoxinizing yourself. That's a good word. You're just reabsorbing all these things in the body, so you're not getting rid of it. That's another one. Three is probably the length of time that you're doing this and making sure they're on enough, and then maybe pulsing at the end to make sure you're getting, because these things have life cycles. Candida, parasites, all these have life cycles, and you can kill everything, but you didn't kill the eggs, you didn't kill the young spores, and they keep coming back. Candida and these other bugs, they can create biofilms too. They create a protective barrier around them. It's almost like they have their own immune system protects them. So if you're not getting rid of like biofilms with it, you may not be getting rid of the Candida or bacteria or whatever. And lastly would be a lot of things. There's multiple things at play. Like I just had one today. You get H. pylori, Candida, parasites, small intestinal overgrowth. So, you could try to do a Candida kill, but you still have 3 other things you're dealing with there that you didn't touch.
right.
And so the terrain is you still have way more bad guys there that are causing trouble, and you only scratch the surface. So that's why knowing what you're dealing with is really important.
Yeah, the terrain is huge. That's just so big that if you have a welcome mat out for bugs and all you did is knock the bugs off the welcome mat, there's going to be more of them that come. And that's just kind of like the 8-year-old visual so that you can understand that. And then the other thing that I'd like to throw in with the Candida is that oftentimes your body will actually recruit things like Candida and parasites because you've got a lot of heavy metals or toxins running through the body, and it's actually created as a defense mechanism so these harmful toxins don't go deeper into things like your brain or emergency organs, because otherwise it might paralyze or kill you pretty quickly. So sometimes they're there for a reason, a protective reason. So it's also important to consider what level of toxicity that you have. Otherwise, the bugs are just going to come back. And this is what I see for so many patients that come to us. And it can be very frustrating. So we get it. We get it. We want that cycle to stop for you because you spend a lot of money and time. And for people who go on Candida cleanses, they avoid sugar and they avoid fruit. And they'll go on a keto diet, which can be great. But for some people, they actually need glucose because they've got thyroid issues. So it might not be a very good idea. So it's a very case-by-case thing. And that's why I don't think that anybody's going to survive, being the best version of themselves without having a functional medicine coach practitioner to look at all of these things that play a role, how hormones affect gut, how, all these different things play on each other. So,
can I talk to that point for a sec too?
Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Yeah, because that's a really interesting point where, there's so many toxins today, and you said it, like Candida and parasites in particular, they can act like sponges and soak up those toxins. Mercury, heavy metals, mold, biotoxins, Lyme bacteria. So you could have all these things inside your body, which is just wild. So if you have, mold issues, Lyme, all these other things, you may have to clean out the gut first before you can even get to those things, which is just, it's mind-blowing when you think of it. So viruses can live inside parasites, bacteria, mold, all these things.
It's like a piñata.
Oh,
parasites are like piñatas.
They are. It's nuts.
And you know what? Okay, I will plug Dave Asprey here. I'm going to send this to him. is he did a documentary called Moldy. And so when you guys are like, oh, I don't have mold, I've never seen black mold on my wall, you know, this is also looking at the surface and thinking that there's nothing behind the surface. So it's very, very common today to have mold, especially if you've had breast implants. So it's like 25% of homes now, it said, have mold toxicity. And especially with a lot of the floods and a lot of, you know, people who live in areas that are subject to floods, or also, you know, moisture and high humidity environments. So there's a lot of different things that play into that. And parasites, I can't remember the number, but it's like, what is it, Seth? Like some crazy number. They could hold up to like 100 or 1,000 times their weight.
Yeah,
and heavy metals.
Off the top of my head, but it is something that's like that. But yeah,
they're
mold
like chia seeds. They expand.
Yeah, mold is just pervasive today, and just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. It can be in your vents. It can be in your neti pot. It can be under your sink. It can be in your dishwasher, your washing machine, all over the place. That's just a huge one I see for people.
Yeah, yeah. And here's the last one I wanted to go over with you. You know, we talked about this a little bit on the first one, is that, you know, you can have a GI problem without having GI symptoms, but a lot of people do have GI symptoms, and they go to take a probiotic, or they take an over-the-counter antacid or something like that. Before I have you riff on this, I'd like to say that, you know, as we age, we have less and less stomach acid that we produce. So by the time we're 50, we are producing like half of the stomach acid that we did when we were kids. That's why we could just shovel garbage down our throat and eat anything when we were a teenager, right? Like that's what happens. Sure. So when doctor says you're just aging, yes, that's part of the process. But there are things that you can do to, you know, supplement that buffer. And so that's why people take antacids. I think that's the best thing because they have stomach burning, but it could actually be a sign that you need to listen to. So that's one. And then the second one on the holistic side, not just because the over-the-counter is like the Western medicine, talk to your doctor, or like the ads we see on TV that's like, oh, go buy an antacid if you have a symptom. The other side on the natural recommendations that you might be doing is taking a probiotic and thinking that a probiotic just fixes everything. So riff on that one, Dr. Seth, because those are two things that people do. They take a pill and they think I've got it. Like that's my gut health. What's the problem in that?
Yeah, and I think we've been trained that way. How many commercials do you see where it's, hey, take this, hey, take this? And I think we've been trained to just say, oh, I've got a problem, I'll just take a pill and we'll be okay. But we've come to realize that, wow, this is a little more complex than just taking a pill. Things like heartburn, like you said, we're losing our stomach acid as we age, which that's very important. Stomach acid is part of the immune system too. It fights off and kills all these bad guys that are coming in right in on your food. So if you're purposely trying to lower that, you're in turn usually creating more infections in your gut, which can lead to more gas, bloating, pressure in your gut, which opens the valve up to your esophagus, which can create more heartburn and GERD. So like I said, everything affects everything. You can't just focus on the stomach or just the gallbladder or just the brain. You're going to affect everything downstream. So, you know, if you do have things like heartburn and GERD, and you have to look at your diet, what are you eating that could potentially be triggering that? Two, the terrain of your gut may be off, where you've got more bad bugs than good bugs. They're eating your food. They're creating gas, expanding, pushing everything back up. And then lastly, what is your stomach acid like? That's a very big one. But yeah, taking a probiotic to fix your whole gut issues is like, I don't know, you're taking like a drop of ocean water when you need the whole thing, you know?
Or putting tape over a tire that has a hole in it.
Yeah, sure. You know, just like we've been talking about, there's so many different kind of species, good and bad, in the gut. And think that you're taking a probiotic with just a couple strains is going to fix everything. It's just not. You know, I was talking to my patient with ulcerative colitis today, and he asked the same question. I'm like, you know, I've seen that sometimes where you're in really good health and you're eating a great diet. You have no stress. You've already detoxed everything. And maybe taking a probiotic could probably work for you for a little bit. But if you have any of those issues, if you have any kind of overgrowth of bad bacteria, just taking a probiotic is usually not going to get you over the hump because you haven't eradicated the bad guys that are there. They're growing, they're expanding, they're going more and more and more. It's like your yard, and it's already overgrown, and you're going in and throwing fertilizer on it. Like, you didn't fix the problem, you know? You have to go in, you have to mow it first, you have to weed eat, you have to blow it off. And then we could talk about making good things grow again. That's kind of where I see things, at least.
Yeah, that's what I want to have us go into in the next episode of our gut health series is, what is this terrain thing, and how do we improve the terrain? In other words, how do we become our own goddess gut gardeners? Yeah, I like that.
Dang, that's good.
Yeah, that's cute, huh?
I like that.
I also, I have a little image that I created. Is that the question is your goddess glass overflowing? And it's a visual of all of the different things that represent toxins that we're exposed to, which, you guys, they're in the tens of thousands today. It's not your fault all the time, that you have gut problems. Oftentimes we are just a product of our environment. And if you're living in a big city with a ton of smog that does not look like the clouds behind Seth's head, and the sky is more chemtraily with a bunch of smog, and like the literal horizon is orange because it's filled with petroleum off-gassing. We're breathing that in, and that is very estrogenic to the body. And if you have high levels of estrogen in the body, which is what we classically see in the labs that we run with the patients inside of our Chi Tribe, if you have estrogen dominance, you pretty much likely have high levels of Candida, and then you likely have high leaky gut, which is hard to detect on just any lab test. Oftentimes it comes back negative, but you have the symptoms of it. Or if you have autoimmune disease, you have a leaky gut. That's the birthplace to autoimmune disease. So it's this whole, it starts here, then it moves here, then it goes here. And then it's like, well, which one came first, the chicken or the egg? It doesn't always matter. What does matter is absolutely what's going on in your life, your lifestyle, the toxins that you're exposed to, the toxins that you were exposed to, the toxins that your mom, your grandma, and your great-grandma were exposed to, because these things get passed down. We don't have to know it all, but just also knowing that just treating a lab test is not the end-all be-all either. If you have a doctor that's just treating your lab test, or just sees that you have high Candida and puts you on a Candida cleanse without considering why is the Candida there also, what is your level of neurotoxicity? You can take that quiz on my website, dianekaiser.com. You can see what your neurotoxic score is. That doesn't mean that you're not, that you're not ill because you have a low score. It could mean there's something else going on in it, and it does warrant looking deeper with a full medical history, your functional medicine labs, and then also looking at your lifestyle and also your mental lifestyle too, because a lot of us are just assholes to ourselves, and that could cause really terrible terrain as well, and it could really gouge the garden, so to speak. And that could be one of the bad gut bugs that you have, is that inner bully within. So it's a whole ecosystem, and I'm so blessed to have Dr. Seth as someone on our team that helps us to get the shovel out with you and dig deeper, because this is what many people are looking for and truly are not getting. So we want to be that source for you. Dr. Seth, any final last empowering words about anything before we sign out?
Yeah, I think a big takeaway from today, our gut podcasts, it would be, it's harder today to be really healthy, but you have to be an advocate for your own health, because no one else is going to do it for you. Do the research, know your body, but you are your own best doctor. Get people on your team that are going to help you realize that aren't going to work against you. They're going to work with you, but they are going to get that shovel out and dig deeper to figure out what's really going on. Because if you're not addressing it now, it's just going to come up later, and it's going to be costlier, and it's going to hurt more. So that's my takeaway. But, Diane and I have both lived it here, being very sick, and now being on the other side, and just knowing that your body can heal. If you take care of it, your body can heal and do wonderful things.
Yes. And just like you said earlier, don't just get to a point where you feel better and stop. This is learning how to become a gut gardener for life. Like, you can't just tend to the garden once and have a landscaper come over once and never go out and pull the weeds out and trim the branches. It's a daily thing. It's everything that every thought you think, every bite that you take, everything you apply to your body is either going to add to your beauty, immunity, and immunity health through the gut, or it's going to take away from it. So it's either a builder or a blocker, and you get to constantly till your garden based on that knowledge and wisdom. You don't know better yet, but that's actually what we're trying to help you so that you can grow better here. So come back for the next episode where we're going to talk a lot about how to till your garden and how to be a gut gardener for life so that you can feel more like the goddess that you came here to be in this world. And if you have any questions for the next episode, dianekaiser.com/ask. If you guys want to talk more about how we can help you empower yourself through functional medicine, as well as holistic health and looking at how to improve your emotional health and the stories that you tell yourself and the beliefs that you manifest into your life, go to dianekaiser.com/call and we will have a conversation on if we are a good fit to work together. I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to today's show. If this episode really tugged at your soul and you're ready to have your personal breakthrough, we would love to have a heart-to-heart with you to get you crystal clear on 3 things. What do you want? What's standing in your way? And how do we get you to your soul goal in the fastest time possible? Visit my site, dianekaiser.com/call to schedule your free 1-hour connection session with one of our warriors to map out exactly how you want to look, feel, and live. We've helped thousands of women warriors just like you all around the world free themselves from the symptoms and suffering they never thought possible. And you just might be our next success story. Talk soon.